I signed up for an Ironman 70.3 3 weeks before race day. Delusional? Probably, but here's how it went. This being my first time, I learned so many new things. There are so many aspects of a triathlon that I just feel like are so gatekept. Like there's so much information online, and yet when I showed up on race day, having done a lot of research, there were still so many things that I was like, why didn't no one tell me about this? So a little bit about me and a little bit about my background and why I decided to do this race. I am a little bit of an Ironman Nepo baby. My dad is an Ironman triathlete. He has been since before I was born. This was my first race and only my second triathlon, but I obviously have been to so many Ironman races that I knew a lot about how they were run. My brother is also a little bit of a newer Ironman triathlete, but in the past few years, he has become an insane triathlete. However, my background could not be any different from swimming, biking, running. I grew up a dancer. I'm still a professional dancer. I sort of got into fitness through needing to strength train to help me as a male dancer. I've been doing CrossFit for maybe 6 years and got into a little bit more just true strength training and some endurance training and some running. So I'm new to this world of triathlons. I did my first sprint distance triathlon 4 weeks ago. Once I finished that triathlon, I was like, oh, hold on, that really wasn't that bad. Maybe I'm better at this than I thought. And that was when the idea sparked, you know what? I think I'm ready to do an Ironman 70.3. Why did I think I could jump from a sprint distance triathlon to a half Ironman within a month? Crazy. But to justify my decision, I did the New York Jones Beach Ironman 70.3, which was on September 20th, this weekend. I did not want to wait until next year, September 2026, to do this race. Doesn't matter that I'm not fully ready. Doesn't quite matter that I trained for a sprint distance triathlon and then now I'm all of a sudden just doing a half Ironman. I was like, I have enough confidence in my athletic abilities. I'm just gonna hope that it will translate. So in the month leading up to my first half Ironman, I was definitely cramming some things, which is hard because again, I'm a professional dancer. I'm auditioning constantly. I'm being so physically active through my job, and I'm also a fitness coach. I teach over 15 plus classes per week. I do online training. I have a lot going on in my life, and so training for this was not easy. I had a little bit of cramming to do. I really only had 3 to 4 weeks to prepare. So in that first week, my priority was making sure I have done the 1.2 mile swim, which I did in a pool. And I'm like, okay, Nick, you did it. You didn't die. That gave me confidence. Step 2 was making sure I've got at least one long bike ride. I was able to get in 2 56-mile bike rides. The first one, I was like, this is the most miserable thing I've ever done. The second one, I was like, this is still the most miserable thing I've ever done, but a little bit more manageable. My third longer bike ride, I'd say, was only 45 miles, but it was another one just to kind of get it under my belt. So I did that maybe 2 or 3 weeks out from the half Ironman. Now, as someone that's new to triathlon, something that I really think helped me for race day was doing a little bit of something every single day. But I feel like that was super beneficial because I was not putting my body through anything too strenuous, but I was at least getting experience being in the water, getting experience being on a bike, and figuring out the logistics and some things that I needed to kind of cram at the last minute. So that was super helpful for me. I think deep down, I knew that I could do this half Ironman distance, which I think is the only reason why I signed up for it. The week leading up to the race, I was doing so much research on nutrition, fueling. I watched every YouTube video on the internet. I absorbed everything like a sponge. Also had my dad, also had my brother. I am actually someone who likes to go into everything prepared. I think it's just kind of like being a performer and going to musical theater school, and you were just constantly taught show up and be the most prepared person there. So this was kind of my way of calming those anxieties and being that person that I am that is always 110% prepared. So I absorbed so much information, and yet there were so many logistics the day before race day and morning of race day that I was like, no one told me this. There's so much information to absorb. And I don't think people realize, but there are so many logistics in terms of the transition, how to set up your bike, how to set up your stuff the day before. Where do I go? I'm checking in. I'm trying to go to the athlete briefing. Where do I put my bike? Like, what is this band? I'm wearing my timing chip. They just like give it to you and they're like, wear it on your left ankle. And I'm like, okay, do I swim with it? Do I wear it the whole time? Do I take it off? There's so many logistics, and despite looking up and watching every YouTube video I possibly could, there were still things that slipped through the cracks. So the day before we get there, so blessed to have my dad and my mom and my boyfriend there to just help me through the logistics. I went to the athlete briefing. It was nice to just hear of some logistics that were important to know about the course. We biked on a completely closed off course, so it was literally just you and the cyclist. There were a lot of potholes. There were a lot of kind of gaps in the road that they warned us about. So it was super helpful to get to that briefing, just to have as much information as possible. Getting in to the transition and setting up my bike and all of my stuff was probably the most nerve-wracking thing the day before, because I couldn't go in with anyone else. Like, you just have to go in by yourself as the athlete. And so I desperately wanted my dad there, just like in my ear, telling me what to do. It's stressful, like not knowing how to put your bike on the rack. I'm like looking around and just trying to be like, okay, well, which direction should my bike face? I'm trying to put my seat. So my advice to anyone else would be to just ask the volunteers. That if I had just gone up to them and been like, hey, this is my first time doing this. I have no idea what I'm doing. How do I set my bike up? Like, they would have helped me in a heartbeat. Big lesson learned. You rack your bike by the seat. So there's a big metal pole. You put your seat on the bike. There also is usually a particular direction that you want that bike to face. For us, it was like odd numbers are facing a certain direction, even numbers are facing in the other. There's just so many things and so many logistics when it comes to race day and setting up your transition that you can't think through everything. There's so much that's going to happen, so many little details that you just kind of have to learn them by experiencing them. I think one of the most reassuring things for me, doing a half Ironman, I assumed that there are going to be so many first timers and new people. When we were there and doing the athlete briefing, they asked like, hey, is anyone doing their first Ironman 70.3, their first half Ironman? 50% of the people there, it felt like, raised their hands. Then they asked, is anyone doing their first ever triathlon? Like, you've never done a triathlon. So many people raised their hand. In that moment, I'm just immediately like, okay, Nick, you're fine. So just wipe those anxieties and fears of something going wrong away and just realize, like, I'm in good company. Like, if I look like a crazy person, like a chicken with my head cut off and I don't know what I'm doing, everyone else is probably feeling the same way. Let those anxieties just simmer away. There's no point in stressing because so many people are going to be there for their first time. So the more research you can do about the day before, dropping off your bike and getting your gear bag and all those things, they're gonna give you so many stickers and you're not gonna know where the hell to put those stickers. I had to put one on the front of my helmet, two on my bike. One was like, put it on the stem. I'm like, girl, do you think I know what a stem? Like, I don't know what a stem is. Thank God I had my dad there helping me put those stickers on. Do your research as much as you can. Just be a sponge and absorb everything. Everyone always says in my life, like, it's all the triathletes and marathoners, and they always say 2 nights before your race is the most important night to get a good night's sleep. I got an amazing night's sleep that night. I slept for over 9 hours. The night before, I thought that I was not going to be able to sleep at all, so I took all the magnesium supplements, all the melatonin, all the things you might need. I went to bed so early, and surprisingly, I slept very, very well. Morning of the race, I am definitely anxious as hell. Getting there with my bag of stuff that I'm gonna have at my transition, so my running shoes, my gels, water, cycling shoes, everything I'm gonna need at transition, a hat, sunglasses, all those things. I was so stressed about how do I lay this out? Where do I put it? You're very cramped in. The bikes are like super close together. I didn't quite realize the people next to you, like their bikes are gonna be like touching, like your handlebars are gonna be like intertwined. It's very cramped, but somehow it all worked out. I get there and I'm setting up and the racks are super long. I set up on a side that I assume is the correct side. Again, my seat is hanging on the rack. My front wheel of my bike is on the ground and my back wheel is kind of lifted up. So I assume, okay, there's half of my bike that's in the air. I'll just slide my stuff behind my bike and that will be like the least in people's way. So I set it up there. Again, I'm there super early. I'm then waiting in line to use the bathroom because I like drank so much water that morning that I'm peeing every 2 seconds. I'm kind of like watching people set up and I hear another athlete say like, hey, just want to let you know like you're setting up on the wrong side. Like you want to set up in front of your front wheel so that when you have all your stuff there and you take your bike off, you're going out head first out of the transition zone. And in that moment, I was like thinking through my setup and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm behind my bike. And so if I was done with all of my stuff, I'd have to like take my bike out backwards and that wouldn't really work. And you can't really like run around the rack. Like the racks are so long that it'd be such a waste of time. There's so many little details. How are people supposed to know this? Like no one's telling you. If you haven't done a triathlon before, or you haven't done an Ironman before, like there's just so many little details that no one's telling you. Lesson learned, I could have just turned to the person next to me and been like, hey, am I setting up on the right side? Like, what side are you? Because there were people all around me setting up, and I was just, of course, too timid and shy to say anything to anyone. If I had just said to the person next to me, like, am I setting up on the wrong side? They probably would have been like, yeah, you should go to the other side. And then once I got to the transition and I did it during the actual race, I'm sitting there being like, of course I'm set up on this side. If I was set up on the other side, it would have been kind of a disaster. So it's one of those things you just have to learn in the moment. And if not, ask people, ask questions, ask all the questions there, ask volunteers, ask people near you, because if there's anything a triathlete or an Ironman is gonna love to do, it's gonna be to mansplain something to you. Okay, so let's talk about the actual race. What I also didn't realize is that the time between when you get there and when you're setting up your bike and the time when you get in the water, that's gonna be a long amount of time. I was like, let's get this show on the road. Keep in mind with your fueling, with your water intake, that it's gonna take a moment to get into the water. When we got into the water, there were people with signs saying like 30 to 35 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes for how long it was gonna take you to swim, just so you could kind of be among people who are of similar time and ability. So I'm setting myself up with the 45-minute people. I should have been with faster people because I was just like an unreasonable amount of times having to pass people, constantly stopping for people because there'd be, a line of 5 people and I can't get around them. And I was not going as fast as I really wanted to. And even when I got out of the water, I was like, oh dang, like that's it? Like there's not another loop? Like I felt so good on the swim. It was probably the only thing I felt good on. But lesson learned, I should have gone with a faster group because it's honestly really frustrating to be in the water and I don't want to be like hitting people and clawing at people. So I was trying to be like nice and not plow past people, but it was a whole 1.2 miles of me just trying to pass people the whole time. I think I could have gone a lot faster if I was in a faster group. But in the water, my one thing for myself was don't pee yourself. Because I know that people are peeing themselves in the water, on the bike. I know it's a thing. I'm like, Nick, just stop in the porta potty. So that was my plan. However, from the time I got there at, 5:30, 6 in the morning, I didn't get in the water until about 7:45 a.m. At that point, I had been in my wetsuit for over an hour. I had to pee. I spent the entire swim just trying to pee myself. And like mentally, I couldn't because I'm always that person who like, I think that's kind of gross. Like even peeing in the ocean, I'm just like, ugh. But I had to pee so badly. So I spent the entire swim focusing on passing people, but also focusing on, Nick, just pee yourself, just pee yourself. And I am proud to say that is the only time I peed myself. Did not pee myself on the bike. It simply wasn't worth it. I wasn't going fast enough. So I leave the swim. I'm feeling surprisingly good. I did well. I definitely have bad chafing at the back of my neck. Here's another tip. Use Vaseline like it is your best friend. I want Vaseline all on the back of your neck, the front of your neck when you have your wetsuit on. I want Vaseline in every crevice of your private part. Literally Vaseline on your feet. Use an entire tub of Vaseline. That is my best tip. Use Vaseline like it is the last day you will ever be able to use Vaseline. So I do my transition. It goes well. I'm kind of like chilling a little too much during that transition. That's like when I peed, I'm having a little Cliff Bar snack, and then I head out on the bike. The bike's going well. The wind was kind of rough. I was just reminding myself it was a there and back kind of loop. Like even though the headwinds were really bad in one direction, I'm like, whatever, that's gonna feel so good in the other direction. And it did. So it's like, yeah, I can complain about the winds, but 50% of the time the wind was helping me out. Here is something that as a first timer was stressing me out in my head, and it was the aid stations while on the bike. I was like, okay, girl, I'm a beginner biker. if you really think I'm gonna reach out, I can barely bike with one hand. Reach out, grab fuel, and like put a water bottle in the cage or take a gel and start. I was like, you are crazy if you think I can do that. So my plan was to stop at the aid stations. But that was another thing that was giving me anxiety, because I was like, how do I know how to stop? Like, is someone gonna crash and hit me from the back? Those anxieties were not needed. As soon as I got to my first aid station, I'm like, oh, this is easy. The aid stations are so spread out. And also grabbing a water bottle while biking was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. They are strategically placed at places where you're kind of going slow in the race. So don't stress about the aid stations. It's so fine. And there was one aid station where I did have to pee on the bike. So I did get off the bike once, which I was not super happy about, because my butt, when I got back on the bike, was so sore because the adrenaline kind of wore off, and I got off my saddle and off my seat. And when I sat back down, I was like, yeah, my butt is in pain. Like, don't stress about the aid stations like I did. It was fine on the bike. Obviously on the run, aid stations, we know it's gonna be easy, but on the bike, it was totally fine. Now I get to the run, and yes, the first couple of miles, my legs felt unwell, but then it started to wear off. And my adrenaline is rushing, and I'm like, my legs are feeling good. We are so close to the finish line. Let's go. I felt so good during this race, y'all. I surprised myself entirely. I was like, I'm flying. I'm going faster than I thought. I feel great. I crossed the finish line. I'm still feeling great. I'm smiling. I'm crossing the finish line like this. I'm like, crossing the finish line, feeling good. My family's there. I'm like seeing the Ironman finish line and all those things. I was like, I am on top of the world. Someone hands me my little metal thing. They hand me a water bottle. I chug that water bottle because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. And then like, so I'm walking over to where they have a line, because there's a professional photographer offering to take photos of you with your medal. I'm like next to go for this photo. And all of a sudden I'm like feeling a little rumbling in the stomach. And then I'm like starting to get a little nauseous. I'm like, whatever, Nick, like you just did a freaking half Ironman. Like you're probably just tired. Oh no, like I'm about to throw up. So I go over to a trash can, and I'm realizing like I can feel the water coming up. I'm like, oh shit, like I'm just gonna throw up all the water that I just drank. So I'm standing over the trash can. Meanwhile, my body is so unwell that I can't even bend over to the trash can. So I'm just standing upright, like imagining like I'm about to projectile vomit into the trash can. All of a sudden I hear, my eyes are closed, because I'm like, when I do throw up, I rarely throw up. But when I'm sick, I don't like people around me. I'm like, get away from me. So my eyes are kind of closed, and all of a sudden I hear, Nick, you doing okay? And I look directly in front of me, because we haven't even left the athlete only section yet. I see my dad and my brother. My dad's just there like with his phone taking a photo of me. Maybe I'll insert the photo here. Good news is I ended up not throwing up, and it definitely was just the water, because I just kind of felt it pass, and I was like, okay, I'm fine. I leave the area, and as soon as I find my parents and my boyfriend, I realize my legs are giving out. I went from feeling on top of the world to like, oh, I'm gonna collapse. And so I start like walking towards them, and I'm like, I need to lie down, like right now on the ground. And they're like, oh, let's get to the car, let's go. And I'm like, no, I need to be like actually horizontal right now, like, or I'm gonna be horizontal not by choice. So we get to these bleachers. Maybe I'll show this video trying to get down to the bleachers. There was just something about my body that just like a snap gave out. And I think this is where my lack of training kind of caught up to me. During the race, I felt so good. I was moving so much faster than I thought I would. I did the race in 6 hours. Like I felt so good about how I did with the lack of training. But I think this was the moment where my body was like, Nick, what the hell did you just do? You didn't train for this. You've never worked out for 6 hours in a row without stopping. Like, what were you doing? And I think that was the moment where my body just shut down. Fast forward though, y'all, the rest of that night was really rough. I felt feverish. I was clearly dehydrated, which is what my dad was telling me. I was having chills, and then I'd feel like a hot furnace. Like that night was rough. But then the next morning, I get up, I'm feeling so good. My legs are sore as hell, but like my system and my body and that kind of like ill feeling, so much better. Y'all, I taught 3 fitness classes the next morning. And like obviously I told the class, I'm like, yeah, guys, I did a half Ironman yesterday. My legs are sore as hell, so forgive me. I was not at 100%, but I taught 3 fitness classes the next morning. Honestly, I'm more proud of that than I am the race itself. Fast forward a couple days, oh my God, I'm so surprised by how my body recovered. I'm so thankful. Like the human body is crazy that it's able to bounce back like I did, especially considering how terrible I was feeling that night. The next day, to be feeling so great. So blessed to be injury-free. My one goal with this race was to finish it and to not get injured. I did both those things, y'all. I learned so much from this race. Honestly, my main goal was to just prove to myself that I can do it. I was like, I don't care what my time is. I'm not feeling competitive. I just want to prove to myself that like I can do hard freaking things. And you know what? I Prove that. Will I be doing another Ironman 70.3 or a full Ironman? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know either way. I think it's a little too soon after the race to be making that decision. I don't know if this is here to stay, but I'm really proud of myself for doing it. I would do an Ironman 70.3 again. I did it once without training. I might as well do it again with proper training. A full Ironman, I don't know about that. But I do feel invigorated, especially as someone who I didn't grow up really playing sports or being competitive. I was just like a gay little boy who wanted to dance and sing and play with dolls, and I had no interest in any of these athletic endeavors. So to prove to myself that it doesn't matter that I have a different background than probably a lot of the people here, you know, I doubt many other people participating in this half Ironman are dancers or have the background that I have, but just to prove to myself, like, I am strong and I can do whatever I freaking set my mind to. It's such an empowering feeling, such a good feeling. I don't know if there are any other gay triathletes out there who are doing Ironman. Have yet to really connect with any of them because I'm so new to this world. But if you are, send me a message, drop a little comment. We're probably few and far between, but it's really good to feel like I accomplished something so amazing and to give myself that confidence that in the future I can accomplish so much more than what I think I can. Anyway, if you are eyeing your first half Ironman 70.3, and you have questions, you want a little pep talk from me, drop a comment. I'm happy to talk to you about it, to ease some of your anxieties, to give you that little boost of confidence. All I gotta say, y'all, if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. All right, bye.